Welcome to Your Need to Know. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and joining us tonight is Christine Kenny. She is the founder and director of Fairfax Diapers, located here in Fairfax County. Welcome, Christine. We appreciate having you with us in our remote taping of
Uh,
Your Need to Know.
Thank you for having me.
So I learned about you through a mutual friend of ours, Holly Siebold, who is the founder and
Mm,
director of BRAS, Bringing Resources and Aid to Women's Shelters. And she said that you have been a wonderful partner for BRAS. And it turns out that your model of diaper distribution really is through a collaborative network, which I find
yes.
intriguing that you have set this up. So give us a little background on exactly how you did set this up and why you saw an unmet need.
So I had been volunteering at Food for Others in Fairfax County for the last 6 years. And they have a program for volunteers where you sign up to be a ticket puller. And that means that you fill the orders. So the clients go in, they give their information, and up on the computer screen comes their name, their family size, whether or not they have a referral. And so what you do is you fill their order. And so if they had a referral, which a small percentage of the clients that were receiving food there would be able to get, it would be from a social worker or a home health nurse or even a pediatrician's office. And that just meant that they qualified for extra food. And so, along with that, they sometimes would qualify for diapers if diapers were available, if they just happened to have some in the back. So, what I found over the years was that people were desperate for diapers, people that had a referral and there weren't any diapers available in the size that they needed, or people that didn't have a referral who would see someone else getting diapers or who would just ask because they were desperate. And I had people say to me, please, I won't take food. Please just give me diapers. And I had no diapers to give them. So, that in conjunction with my experience being a mentor for a great program that existed in Fairfax County for 25 years called the Naomi Project, which mentors new moms who are struggling. I found that there was a huge need for diapers in our county and very few resources. There was one church in Herndon that distributed diapers on the second Saturday of the month. For people that don't have their own transportation, that is incredibly challenging for them to try to go and get diapers for their baby once a month. Through NAMI Project, we partnered with another organization that sometimes had diapers, but it was, the client or the mentee would have to contact the mentor, who would have to contact the organization to arrange a time to pick up the diapers between 12 and 2 at the government center, and then get them back to the client. And so it just seemed to be a challenge that people shouldn't have to face if there was any way that we could figure out how to make that easier for them. So I contacted a couple of other local organizations. There's a great diaper bank in DC. And at that point, they were not distributing diapers at food banks. It was more targeted to other partner organizations. But what I found was that a lot of the people that were coming to get food at the food banks were working. They were just having a really hard time, like making it to the end of the month. And so I started trying to figure out a way to get diapers for all clients receiving food at Food for Others. And so I met with the director, I met with the warehouse manager, and what we decided on was that I would form my own 501c3 and distribute diapers through Food for Others. So I had no intention whatsoever of forming my own nonprofit, but
A common story, actually. I had no intention of
exactly,
doing this, and then I did.
exactly. So we went through the process of getting the paperwork. I established a board. I tagged 4 good friends who I knew would be great, great help. And so we launched in June of 2019. And so, in our first month of distributing diapers at Food for Others, we distributed 7,600 diapers. And in April of 2020, we distributed 28,264.
Wow.
So, and that was like the first full month after the pandemic hit, where, the food bank has seen the numbers triple. And so we have as well, we've added several more partners. We have a couple of high schools that have teen moms that we provide diapers for. There's a wonderful mission in Annandale that this incredible woman, Betsy, provides food 4 nights a week to anyone who walks up to the door. And so we provide diapers there. And so we're trying to make a dent in the need, but it's a real challenge because people that are receiving government assistance, if they're receiving SNAP dollars, those dollars cannot be used to purchase diapers. TANF dollars can, but the TANF dollars can also be used to help pay rent and electric bills. And, people will expect to pay, up to $80 a month to diaper one child. So when you're talking about having very limited resources, that goes pretty quickly, and other things go before that. So it might be, you don't pay to fill up your gas tank, or parents go hungry, or any other sort of things that you can
Right. I mean,
get rid of before.
you have to make choices, right? Like when you have limited
Exactly.
resources, then you have to choose between
Exactly.
this or that. But diapering a baby is a pretty urgent need. It's not something that can just
Yes.
wait. Like let's like wait till next month to diaper the baby.
Exactly.
So that
Exactly.
and and I think people are not aware that SNAP benefits really it's a supplemental nutrition program
Mm-hmm.
and it really is for food and very specific food at that. So there's lots of
Exactly.
restrictions around SNAP and TANF, as you pointed out, has to go for many, many, many things. So what I
Right.
find interesting is that you identified a need and a partner because you're right. People access different resources through different nonprofits, and there's so many scattered around the county that are doing different kinds of things. Who might have a food pantry,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, but don't carry diapers, or it's haphazard if they happen to have diapers in their food
Exactly.
pantry. So what I
Right.
find interesting about your model is that you figured out a way to collect, and we'll talk about the different sources that are helping you collect the
Yeah.
diapers. You are collaborating through all of these other networks of people who are already serving a population who needs them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how you're distributing. So it seems like
Exactly.
you've worked it out, and seems to me that after a year and a half, you're basically scaling what you do to make sure the people who need these diapers are getting them.
We're trying. We're trying. Yes.
So you have some interesting partners. Talk about I saw on your website that the Girl Scouts have helped you to do diaper drives.
Yeah, I lucked into this incredible trio of freshman girls at Marshall High School in Falls Church who were working on their silver award, and they needed to find a project that would be sustainable. And so we figured out that they could help me work on some of my technological deficits. And so I have a Google Drive, and they created all of these Google Sheets for me to keep track of donors and to keep track of zip code distributions. And they helped me figure out how to update my website, created an adorable tutorial for me so that I could look at to figure out how to update WordPress. They ran a diaper drive. And it was just such a joy to work with them. And that's really one of the, once I decided I was going to do this, of course, my first priority is trying to provide diapers to families in need. But I also, as a mom of three daughters who went through Fairfax County Public Schools, and I was always trying to find ways for them to understand how privileged they were and how fortunate they were, and to be able to do things for other people. And it's really challenging to find meaningful ways that kids can volunteer and contribute. And especially now, like I grew up going to food pantries and soup kitchens, and there are a lot more restrictions today. You know, the kids
That's
have to be
true.
16, they have to be supervised. And so I thought that through doing this, I could provide ways for kids and families and groups and organizations and schools to organize a drive and to package diapers, and really understand that like it's a tangible thing that they can become involved in. And I have a big table that we put up in my driveway, and I have neighborhood kids. And I just had a neighbor who works for Microsoft, and three of her friends came over one Sunday and packaged diapers, and Microsoft will donate $25 an hour for every volunteer hour. And so it's just been a really great opportunity to give other people an opportunity to do something for other people too, because a lot of people really want to, but they just don't know how, and they don't know where to go. And
Well, you've hit
so it's a
something really
win-win,
you've
you
you've
know?
hit something really important here, which is people are willing to donate money, but they want to do something impactful. They want to do
Yes.
something. And so what you're
Hmm.
offering is a way to come and do a hands-on thing, know that what you're doing
Hmm.
has an immediate impact on a dire critical
Exactly.
need. People need,
Exactly.
volunteers always need to get something out of what they're doing too. And it
Right.
seems to
Right.
me that you're really creating a wonderful volunteer opportunity, and people absolutely know that they're making a difference and they understand the urgency.
Yes.
So when we come back from our break, I want to talk a little bit more about your collaborative partnerships. I will mention before we go to the
Okay.
close that one of the the thing that both of us have in common is we had three children in 4 years, which is
Mhm.
6 straight years of diapers. So I can't think of
Exactly.
two people more qualified to talk about the how you diaper babies for 6 straight years than the two
Exactly.
of us. So join us after the break. We'll be talking with Christine Kenny.
Hey, chat. Why do I wear a mask? Because when I'm not behind the screen, my mask is my cheat code. And when we stop the spread, we level up. What's the next level? Hanging with friends again. You're right, masks have always been a part of our community. I miss you guys too. Being face to face is truly the next level. Here's the cheat code. Stop the spread of corona. Mask up, America.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Welcome back to Your Need to Know. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and tonight we're talking with Christine Kenny. She is the founder and director of Fairfax Diapers. When we went to our break, we were talking about what it takes to diaper a baby, or three of them, for 6 years. And a question has come up from our producer asking, how many diapers are we talking about? And how do you figure how many diapers to give out at a time to a family?
So when we started, when I talked to the director and the warehouse manager about how we were going to manage the operation, we decided to follow the same model that the food bank uses. And so the food bank is not meant to be the sole source of food for a family for a month. It's meant to be a 5 to 7 day supply. And so we decided that we would do the same for diapers. And so we generally give packages of 50 diapers for sizes 1 and 2, 40 for 3 and 4, and 30 for 5 and 6. The logic behind that being, for anyone who has had children knows that, when you're a little baby, they go through a lot more diapers. And as they get a little bit older, they go through fewer. And, it's unfortunate that we can't provide more than that. But the idea is that if we can just help people a little bit, the studies have shown that before the pandemic, I don't know what it is now, but for the 1 in 3 families that were in our country that are diaper insecure, the average number of diapers that they were short at the end of the month was 19. And so a lot of people have a lot of different ways of cobbling together diapers for their child, but a lot of times it's just not quite enough. And so what I think a lot of the diaper programs are trying to do is to provide just that extra to get to the end of the month until they, can get that next, check for food. And the really hard hit families during this, especially during this pandemic, are the people that are not receiving any government assistance whatsoever. And that seems to be the bulk of the people that I see that we are providing services for, because they didn't get the $600 a week unemployment, they didn't get the $1,200 check for the stimulus check, and they're not getting the moratorium on the rent and assistance through the county, and so that seems to be the population that seems to be struggling especially hard right now, and is in really dire need.
And you brought up something else interesting too, which is undoubtedly there are people who are watching the show who are like, well, they could use cloth diapers, because then you can just wash cloth diapers. But there's multiple hurdles in using cloth diapers,
Right.
and one of them is daycare. And so many people who actually work, and you
Right.
might be working a minimum wage job on a variable schedule from week to week, but if you have to leave your baby with a daycare provider, a child care provider, you have to leave diapers. And if you don't have
Exactly.
diapers to leave, then you can't leave your child.
Exactly. And even a lot of the government subsidized daycare centers still require families to bring diapers. And so I think there was a study that said on average, families that are diaper insecure miss up to 4 days a week, 4 days a month, excuse me, of work because they don't have enough diapers to be able to bring their child to daycare, which means that their job is in jeopardy. And what's our goal is to be able to have people be self-sufficient and have a job that can sustain them. And so if they're not able to go to work because they don't have diapers for their child, it's just a travesty.
And most people are not considering this, because if you aren't in the middle of struggling
No.
to solve this problem, then you're not sitting around thinking about this problem. But it's
Right.
serious. It's a very serious problem for families who already have so many things to juggle, to not be
Exactly.
able to take your child to daycare. And the other thing with cloth diapers that you pointed out is you have to have a washing machine, right?
Right.
Like many
Right.
people go to a laundromat to do their laundry.
Right. And I doubt that would be highly looked on if you brought a bunch of dirty
I think
diapers into the
I
laundromat. I doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. And you touched on something in the first segment too about transportation. Transportation
Mhm.
continues to be a problem in a county as huge as Fairfax. Some people do not have a car. We do not have adequate public transportation, especially in the most suburban parts of the county. Reston,
Right.
Herndon,
Right.
Centerville, Lorton. There's just no way to get to some of the places, even if you qualified to get. How do you get these products? And so your example of
Right.
how giving them away one Saturday or every other Saturday a month doesn't work for somebody who can't get there to get the diapers.
Right. Which is why I think giving diapers out at a food bank is just a no-brainer because they're already there, whether they have their own car, whether they got a ride with someone else, whether they borrowed a car. I mean, there are all different kinds of places that, all different kinds of ways that people can get there. But if they're already there to get food, why have them go somewhere else to get diapers? It just, some people are going to come on their lunch hour, and some people are going to come whenever they can get there. And so, I mean, I was at the food bank, one day working, and there was a mom and her daughter, and they had food, and they were trying to put it all in backpacks, and I was getting ready to leave, and so I said, why don't I just drive you home? And they lived, a little bit down Route 7, and she said it took them 3 hours to get there, waiting for the buses, and then they had all their food, and they weren't coming for, I mean, what they get, I mean, it's food, but it was a lot of work for a little bit of food. And
Right.
So it's
I've heard
like,
similar stories about trying to access healthcare. Health Works,
yes, absolutely.
wonderful federally qualified health clinic, but it's not easy to get there. And you take buses and buses, and it takes
Mm,
hours to try to get even healthcare in this county. And it is one
exactly.
of the things about being in such a large county that is so spread out, is trying to
Right.
get the resources to the people, or the people to the resources. And I find
Exactly.
it, and I
And
find
in
I was just
sorry.
going to say, I think your collaborative network really is inspired. The fact that you have basically plugged into people who are serving a population that needs diapers. And what you're basically doing is figuring out how to efficiently collect the product and distribute it to the people who are ultimately distributing it to the families.
Exactly. Yeah. And it really has been such a blessing during this to meet the people doing this work, and the people that are showing up every day with a smile on their face and handing out whatever they can cobble together, whatever donations they get. And, I mean, the staff at Food for Others continues to blow me away. I mean, the grace that they show to the people that are coming to get food. And I mean, even during Thanksgiving, November normally is insane because they hand out turkeys and chickens and, Thanksgiving fixings. But this year, and this just even blew me away, that the 3 days before Thanksgiving, they saw 300 families a day come through there. And so we're 300 people representing 300
300
families.
families.
And they did it. They served, they're open from 9:30 to 5, and they're tireless, and they smile, and they're gracious and kind, and just really, really good people. So that has really been, during this time, I think, a great way to put it all in perspective, because, I mean, this pandemic is awful. We're all missing
It
out
is.
on a lot of things, but when you show up twice a week and you see people waiting in line before the food bank opens, um, it does help put it into perspective and make you realize that, I have a nice warm house, and
Yes.
I don't have
To,
those
to,
needs.
to whom much is given, much is expected.
Mm,
And I believe
yes,
that too.
yes,
So I'm sure we have inspired all of our viewers to ask themselves, what can we do to help? And again, money and donations to buy the product is one thing, but you have described your neighbors and Girl Scouts and people in faith communities
yeah,
and high schools doing hands-on things that they
right.
know is immediate, that they know is impactful, that they know makes a difference right now. So how can our viewers plug into what you're doing?
So there are so many different ways. I had a little brownie troupe who made little 7-year-olds who made jars. They collected pennies, and they donated $182. And
Wow, a
it
lot of
was
pennies.
it was yeah, and it was great. And there's a really wonderful organization that was started about a little over a year ago, called Social for Good in Vienna. And they think they're about, now I think they're over 140 women. And they do a project every month. They pick a different nonprofit that they want to support. And so they've held 2 diaper drives and packaging events, and they like to have something social and something that they can get involved in. And so in September, we put 3 big tables out in my driveway, and people dropped off diapers, they donated money, and they packaged, and we 27,000 diapers.
Wow.
Which
Wow.
was, a month's supply, and it was fabulous. And I mean, just we had signed up in shifts, and we had to like stop the first shift because they were so efficient, and we had to leave some for the next shift that was coming. Um, and so people have run diaper drives in their neighborhoods. Their Westbriar Elementary School did one. They did a bracket for the Final Four, and they had a competition between the grades, and they collected over 5,000 diapers last March. And so I mean, it could be for if you have service hours that you need to do for your IB service project at Marshall High School, or if you need a mitzvah project for your bar bat mitzvah, or the confirmation service hours. So it could be packaging diapers, it could be running a drive. And I have all of the information about a toolkit that you can use to create social media presence and pick a goal. And I have collection bins and signs that you can use. And so I have a group of 6th grade Girl Scouts in Fairfax right now that are running a drive out in Fairfax, and it's running until December 19th. And then they're going to package the diapers. And so it's just been really neat to hear from just people out of the blue. I never know who's going to be on the other end of the phone, and they say like, what do you think about this idea? And so it's been really wonderful.
Well, I think
And
you've left our viewers with a lot of ideas and suggestions, and they should go to your website, which is fairfaxdiapers.com.
thank you.
And thank you so much for being here and
Thank
explaining
you.
your wonderful organization. And for those of you at home, this is what you need to know.